What's going on, everyone? Welcome to an edition of the Victory Life Legacy Spotlight. Today, I have another great guest who I'm speaking with. I'm speaking with head Brentsville High School coach, head coach Loren White is in the building to discuss his legacy and vision and goals for his upcoming season, as well as we're going to dive into his history and his legacy as well as a player now as a coach. I'm your host, Dwight Vick, owner and founder of Victory Life, and I'm excited to have you on, Coach. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Appreciate you having me on. Appreciate it, Mr. Vick.
Oh, no, no, no. This is great, man. I've heard great things about you and your staff going back to last season. I have a couple of young men you actually coach, and they talk about how you guys are no nonsense yet. You really care about the kids. You have a lot of fans in the Princeton County group chat. Um, you have a long following, a strong following in just your first year. You had a great season. Ran into a team I'm very familiar with in Phoebus, being from Hampton High myself. It didn't end the way you liked it, but at the same time, new season, new opportunity. So I'm really excited to have you on. But before we talk about Brentsville and your team and goals and your upcoming vision for this season, I want to talk about you. You're new to Brentsville, but you're not new to football and sports and mentoring and coaching. But you were once a player. Let's talk about where it all started for you. Where you from? Where'd you grow up at? And who were some of the people that really influenced you?
Yeah, I was basically I didn't move to Prince William County until eighth grade. Spent time in Maryland and spent time in Richmond, Virginia. From that point, from there, moved down here about my eighth grade year. Attended Lake Ridge Middle School for probably like half a semester, and then from that point, where we lived before with my mother, we were in Lake Ridge, but Smoketown Road back then divided up the property. So thought I was going with everybody else to Woodbridge and say, hey, you'd be fine Woodbridge. And then got a call from Tony LaBazzetta, who I still talk to this day. He was like, nah, you on the side of Smoketown, dog. You coming? Gar-Field was down for me. And that was a wrap from that point. Him and Gar-Field, played 4 years there, varsity. We had good ties from there. A lot of good players throughout that time with me. You got Jamar Atkinson. You have Rasheed McLeod, Cortez Whiting, who's the head coach of Osbourn City from that point. So a lot of guys are still in this area. Keep on. It's a brotherhood once we got from that point. And then after you get in from there, went to college at Shepherd College, which is Shepherd University now.
I love these legacy spotlights because I get a chance to get the behind the scenes insight. Now, you're a head coach, you have a strong influence on young men throughout your program, but at the same time, there are people that influence you. I mean, you didn't wake up a head coach. You had to go get your own life lessons and learn about yourself as a young man. Talk about your family. What was it like growing up? Like a lot of times you don't have this vision until someone instills a vision upon you. So talk about your family life and what was that like growing up and just the dynamics of your household.
Yeah, growing up, I was a single mother. There was three of us living at the time with her, my brother, my younger brother, and my younger sister. After from that point, just going there, and she pushed education. My grandmother was a nurse and also a school teacher. My grandfather was a military guy. My structure, my aunt's actually teaching. She's still teaching in PG County
Oh,
from that point. So a lot of range from there. Going from that point, it was just always instructed us to do what you can. We're always in my family always been big helpers. We always want to, if you can help somebody, assist somebody, it's always the thing. So this is naturally in our blood to do that. So that's the teaching standpoint of my family, my mom, my sisters, and everything, my brothers. We all come in trades that be able to give back to somebody. And whenever you have an opportunity to give back, especially your community, you always give back. So just going through it, originally, I worked in as a paralegal law firm, so thought I was going that aspect.
oh,
So yeah, I could try to say at that time I thought I was going to be a lawyer, and then now I got to the aspect it wasn't for me. But it's always sports has always been something that connects me. It's easy to connect with anybody. You be sitting on the bus with somebody and you talk about sports, and you just start a conversation up. Or
yeah.
it's the easiest thing. And at the same time, with that teacher aspect that I have my family, it was being around kids, being an example. And then that just struck with me more and more going through college and getting the schoolwork done. It was like, hey, I want to just not a lot like me. I didn't have a male teacher until a PE teacher in high school. That was my only male teacher, and then my first minority teacher wasn't until my sophomore year of high school, English teacher.
Hmm.
So it was like, can I be that example that I want to see every single day that gives that kids like, hey, I can be like this person, not just the natural minority look. I got to be I got to be a rock star, I got to be a rapper, I got to be a celebrity, but I can be the day to day person, still make a good enough income to support myself, and just do something, give back to community, and have that example for that person. While hey, I can be like Mr. White one day, be a teacher, be a head football coach, have a family, and support my community at the same time. So that's the biggest thing that came on. So just doing over time, that's what just got to me. And then just got the opportunity after, like you said, putting that work in, being an assistant and doing all these other jobs, and was blessed to get the opportunity to come back to Brentsville, be a head coach.
Before we talk about Brentsville and your first season there, I want to go back to Garfield because before we jumped on and recorded, I was doing some prep work and we were talking about Garfield. Talk about your time at Garfield because I was first introduced. I'm from the 757, so as I told you, I was introduced as a freshman. We lost to them. I think this is the only football state championship in 1990.
Yeah,
They beat
yeah,
us 13-12, and they were a very good, well-coached team. And after that, I didn't know anything else about them until I moved up here to Northern Virginia in the early 2000s. Talk
okay.
about your time with, my guy, Coach Cortez, and those guys, your 4 years in high school. What position did you play? And what did you enjoy about high school? Because Friday Night Lights, to me, I'm biased between Friday Night Lights in high school and college football. Those are my two favorite. Pros is cool, but those are my
Yeah.
two favorite. I love high school football. I love it. Can't wait. But talk about your time under those lights, man, and what it was like.
Yeah, I mean, just coming down, being in Garfield, first is getting in back at that time. I think it was 99 because I graduated in '02. My first time getting there. It's just, compared to that, but it's like there's dudes, there's size around. There's, getting into a locker room as a freshman, seeing the size is not, it's a little intimidating, but you got to hold your own. And once you hold your own, you get accepted. Just being at Garfield those 4 years is a great experience ever. I mean, you have brotherhoods that brought up within there, especially within the football program, going within that self, being a part of the Dell City community, which it changes rapidly over there. Just, I mean, Garfield program. I mean, my 3 years with Tony Labazzetto was the best experience ever. My last senior year, we had a new coach come in from that point. But I mean, just to see the history of the football, like you said, 90 was our only state one, but every year we're in the playoffs. And back then, football was like, kids like, oh, you have a good crowd now. They see the Patriot Battlefield or Freedom Potomac. It didn't compare to back then. It was like, we went and played my brother at Potomac Keenan, and it's packed. It's people on the fence. It's people in the stands. There's people parking in the parking lot. People used to have to go park at Potomac Mills to come across the street for games back then.
Mhm.
And that's where a lot of us coaches are trying to get it back in the atmosphere because there's nothing like the high school experience. Yeah, college, that's my one too. I mean, pros is cool and all that, but college and high school, just on a Friday night, you can go to, friends and family, community, loved ones, your team versus another team. Guys on the other team. You guys worked out in the whole season, but it's that reputation is like, hey, I get this one, I'm gonna hold this over your head all summer long, let you know we got you. So I mean, this Garfield is a great experience, and the history of people that come through that school, skill being touched, is amazing. So it was an amazing experience for me there for that. For myself, playing wise, I played a defensive end, and I played offensive guard in high school. So yeah, I lost some weight from that point. I mean, I got to the point like after college ball, I was like, am I really gonna be pushing people around anymore? Nah. So cut
Yeah.
the weight down from that point. But yeah, I was a defensive end and offensive guard, and I was on junior, and senior year all state. So
Oh my goodness. I'm loving
yeah.
you even more now. I didn't know you were part of my fraternity. I
Oh
don't know
yeah,
why
that's
I
where.
don't know why I thought you played linebacker. I'm sorry.
No, not until we got to college. And that's when I got kicked out. Kicked out
Okay.
to outside. So yeah,
Okay,
but
that's what it
no,
was.
I just
Okay,
love being in the
okay.
trenches. In the trenches where it's at, they don't get enough respect, and that's why
No,
I
no.
put that vision more, especially with the kids I got now and the success one of my kids had this year. It's the one pitch, and you every single play you're making contact with somebody, and that's
No
where it
doubt.
happens because that's where those skill kids don't get shine unless we do our job up front.
No doubt. Well, number one, you mentioned another guy that's dear to my heart. He's like my little big brother, Keenan Carter. And I mean, when I
Yes.
moved up here to Northern Virginia in 2000, my wife grew up here. The
Mhm.
Tidewater guys, then and now, we're always biased. We think we run the state. We think we have all the best. But contrary to popular belief in the 804 Richmond area, but especially up here in the 703 and the 540 Northern Virginia part, there is talent. I realized very quickly on the Woodbridge side too. The Overton brothers, Keenan, Cortez, a lot. I can go on and on. I don't want to omit
Yeah.
anybody, but I
Yeah.
mean, especially during that era, the '99, early 2000s,
Yeah.
because I remember those crowds you talk about. It is honestly, Coach, too, not to get sidetracked, but it's different throughout the state. It's not just up
Yeah.
here. Down where I'm from, the crowds, unless it's a really, really big game, it's just hit or
Yeah.
miss. And I
Yeah.
hopefully we can get that back because Virginia still is a premier state when it comes to high school football.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no. So Coach, talk about your time at Shepherd because, truthfully, man, in this day and age, especially with social media, everybody wants to look at, not everybody, but a lot of kids want to go to where I went to school, whether it's Tech, UVA, Minnesota, Alabama, Oregon, D1.
Yeah.
Um, and everyone can't go, and that doesn't mean you're less of a player, and you can still play at a good school, D2 or D3. And what I tell kids is very few people play college. So
Yeah.
whether you play D1, D2, D3, once you get to that level, you're playing college ball. I had a guy on my Legacy Spotlight, a great guy, still friends with him. He's a superintendent of Manassas City Schools, Dr. Newman,
Oh
and he
yeah.
played quarterback at Bridgewater,
Yeah.
and he was talking about how like it was the real deal. Um, talk about your times at Shepherd, man.
Yeah, I mean, just getting into Shepherd after high school, you got a little chip on the shoulder because you know what you did in high school. But I mean, day one going into there, and it's conditioning tests. You got to pass it. You think you lift weights enough in high school? Not even close to what you do in college. The 4 a.m. wake ups, and especially that's West Virginia. So a lot of times I came out the door and there's deer outside the door, and I'm just like, hold up, Mo, this is a whole nother level. My roommate said, no, get used to it. And it's snow on the ground and it's like, snow back home, we get flurries on the ground. We're closed. Nah,
Over,
it's
over.
up. Nope. 2 inches. Nah, you good. We made a path on the sidewalk, get to class, get to workout. So, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed every second of it. I mean, going out there, a lot of them I still couldn't touch it. Coach McCook, who's the head coach now, was the offensive line coach when I was there. The D coordinator, Josh Klein, was played with him his senior year as a D lineman. He's now the defensive coordinator there. Just tons, like you said, it doesn't matter. Ones, twos, threes. There's dogs. There was dogs. I mean, there's guys I play with. Dan Peters, who was, I think now it got broken, but I think he's third in all of D2. He has 17 interceptions in the game. And he got a pro
Ooh,
workout with the league. I forgot where it's at, but I mean, there was goals and there's competing, there's competition, and there's like a lot of guys there. You look at them like, dude, you should be, at UVA, you should be at West Virginia, and then this had, either academics or this got overlooked, or this didn't have mindset, or just they just saw themselves, hey, they wanted to play, and this is where they opportunity they got to play at. So
ooh.
I mean, Shepherd is a great place. It's grown extremely. Buildings everywhere now. It relates a lot to a home environment because It's a small city out town. It's right outside Hagerstown, so it's not like people say you're going to West Virginia, nothing to do. No, you right there in the city. You can still go. We still went to the go. We still went out to play time, but it was the grind. It was a grind. You do that when you had off time, but it wasn't much off time in college, and that's what I try to get the kids hip on now, because a lot of them don't have that understanding. They don't understand. You get an offer. Is it a full ride? Is it a partial? You got to read that fine print in there. You got to ask the questions, and that's what a lot of coaches like Overton does a good job. Cortez Wine does a Finnerty at Patriot does a good job explaining to our players, hey, this is what it is. get into that information. Do your own research too. It's not about the ball situation. Know about the academics, the school part. And that's what I think a lot of us coaches now are getting to our players and getting that information. And that's where I think recruiters are coming around here more because they see, hey, our kids are ready to go to the next level and they actually do work there. And that the more they see a player from this area do good, they're going to dip back in the pond and get another one out of there.
Absolutely. No, you're 100% right. I'm going to ask you this question because I'm curious because I ask a lot of the coaches that come on the Legacy Spotlight this question. You were once a player. You played college ball, which very few people do, as we just discussed. You had a very good high school career. You dabbled in as a paralegal. Next thing you know, you're an educator and you're coaching. Um, was that the plan? Because, sometimes guys are like, hey, I'm very good friends with head coach Loren Johnson down at Highland Springs. And I told him when he was young, I said, you're going to be a head coach. And he was looking at me, but I knew it. And it was in his blood. And obviously, he's one of the best in the VHSL. You're on that same path. But did you know you were going to be on that same path?
Honestly, no. I just thought, get to the point, playing days done, it's like you just looking for a job and to try to be successful. And it wasn't until around, reaching back out to Tony Lobzell, my high school coach, and then either my assistant coach, Tom Grider, and he just stopped me one day. He was like, "Hey, what you doing? You should get back in. You should get back into football." I'm like, "Dude, I don't do anything like that." At the time, I was just like, nieces and nephews helping them in their sports. But it's always been an itch. Once you're a player, it's always in your blood. He was like, "No, just come by." And that's when he was at Garfield. He was like, "Hey, just come by practice one time. See us right." Man, Vic, I tell you, not even 30 minutes. I was hooked. I was out there. I'm out there in, a tie and a shirt, straight out the courtroom, coaching, sweating, getting on kids. Right. And then I was just like, he was like, I told you. And from there, I was hooked and just had to get in there. And then it's the best way to get back in there is also be an educator. And I saw this, I was like, the best of both worlds. And that way I'm around my kids all the time. I can make sure they're doing their stuff academically. I can still provide for my family and I can get around football and pass on my knowledge that I had from my other coaches to the other kids from that point, help them grow and see them grow. And it's been one of the best decisions ever.
No doubt. And it has. And let's talk about this decision. You're at Brentsville High School, tucked away in Prince William. Prince William is part of Northern Virginia, and most schools up here are Division 6, Class 6. And I'm just now starting to understand this new system because I'm older than you. So I'm from
Yeah.
the old VHSL when it was AAA, AA, and single A.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
had Division 6, Division 5, but it wasn't like that. You pretty much were AAA state champion. Now, and again, you're in the same crowd I'm a part of. Now they're getting to reclassify again.
Yeah.
So I try to keep up, and it's hard, but I've been living in Northern Virginia, Prince William, and Fairfax County for 22 years, so I know about Brentsville. To be very blunt and honest, they've always had great academics and sports, but very few people, let's be honest, on the Legacy Spotlight would have taken that job because it doesn't have the same cachet at the time as Patriot or Battlefield or Freedom, just like Overton. When Overton took over Freedom, people weren't running to take that job. And
Yeah.
now he's made one of the best programs in the Commonwealth. You are on that same path in your first season at Brentsville. You had a phenomenal season. I've heard about you from the parents and players. Um, why did you take that job and how has it been so far?
I took the job. I wasn't even living in Prince William County that far when I was at Gar-Field. Coached by the name of Mike Madison. Used to be principal there. Used to coach there himself. Great man. First knew his son Steve from that point. Told me about it. I was like, this guy talking about it. Mike always used to joke, but he said, no, this would be the perfect place for you. So back when Ryan Smith got the job, he talked to me a little about it. I was supposed to come out his first year. I didn't. Second year, I was like, hey, I'll come out. So defensive coordinator, he told me the struggles the program had before, but there's players in there. So I was there the first time. And then just being there, trying to get it. There's kids that wanted to learn, kids that wanted to develop. They had size. This is, it was a small school in Prince William County. Nobody really paid it in mind. Plus, they weren't winning. So go there. But just the community being themselves, still supporting the kids, the program, the school. just saw it and I was like, this is a great place. I did 3 years there, then went away for a while. To other venues, went to when Cortez got Osbourn, first went over there and stuff. This when opportunity came around, I was like, I've been in the game over 11 years. Here's an opportunity. Let me just throw my name out there in the basket. And I was supposed to go to Gainesville with Bruton, and he
Mm.
knew, he saw that open, and he texted me right away once he saw it open and thing. He was like, "You gonna apply for it?" I said, "I got to." And then that was all he wrote, and just to come back there. But it's one of the places. I mean, it's a lot of kids joke around, and it's a little tech. I mean, you go down there, it's off the 28 and everything, but you send everybody asks, they look at on directions to get to school, but you send them through Fitzwater, and they come up Fitzwater. Every business is closed. It's dark down that street. It's number of street lights. You come up there and you see all the signs for the school, and you come up and you get to the top of the street and you see that stadium lights and you start hearing the music and it's thumping and Enter Sandman's coming on. It's the most impression thing from there. And then everybody buys into that community. They do whatever for what anybody needs done. And so it's the biggest thing. It's like I hear a lot of parents complain about, then my program does no. I said, let me hear your things. Don't get crazy on me, but let's try to build for it. And I feed off them, they feed off me, and they help this program so much. And that's where I think it's point. The last couple of years, we flourished all around, not just in football, but several sports. And like you said, academically. So it's one of the rare schools in the county that you see. So athletics is flourishing in the top sport, getting to the states and different things. But the same thing, academics turn around, sending kids. You got kids in NASA, you got kids in all types of university, kids doing their own entrepreneurships and building from that point. So it's a thing. We're just striking matches everywhere. So that's the big thing that brought me to it.
And people did not realize, and I forgot. I'm glad you reminded myself and even people watching this Legacy Spotlight. You were there before, right?
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
then you came back. I think that was critical because it wasn't like you took a job when you didn't know where you were going. You knew exactly where you were going because you had been there before and came back.
Yeah.
I think that experience, it was almost like it was foreshadowing your life before you as you prepped those
Exactly.
years and then came back. And also, you were with other staffs, as you mentioned, Osborne and Gainesville.
Hmm.
So I think that experience serves you very well. Now, and you talk about
Yeah.
Brentsville, the culture there. You're right, because I've been there for a football game when they played. It was back when Cohen King was at Eastern View. He's now at UVA, and I remember
Okay.
going there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, gosh, man, it is packed, and everybody had on
Yeah.
the orange, and it was packed. Yeah,
Orange. Yeah.
man. What do you what was it like this past season? Because this was a historical season. Like it was fun to watch because you won every which type of way. You won close games, you won blowouts, you had that miracle win in that playoff game, which I don't like to use that term luck because I think that's more so about being in the right position because you prepared all year. But at the same time, when you play sports and coach it and play it, you're going to sometimes be lucky, but you deserve and earn that win as well. But just talk about last season, man,
Yeah.
because it was a historically great and fun season to watch.
Oh yeah, I mean it was great. Especially getting the job, getting hired late than usual, so didn't really have a strong off season from that point getting there. But these kids reset well. Like you said, the same thing. Seeing this job, I felt being there before. Just like you related to Overton Freedom Job, a lot of people look down on it, especially it's a D3 school. It's a small school in Prince William County. But from that point, I just saw the potential there and stuff. So these kids recepted quick. They got with it, laid what the culture was going to be. It's a family culture that was built on here. Uh, is going to be expected to be a program. First day of camp, July something. Football is not expected until December 15th because expect that the mindset. So that way, you're not playing vacations. You get your time in. July through December, we all together. So it got that in, and kids recepted in there well. That know, hey, this is going to be a postseason football team, and we're expected to be in that last day at Liberty University. So last year they recepted well, and we just clicked. I mean, just having that group together to get together, and this, I didn't even myself, I didn't know they meshed that fast, but it knew pretty much after the second scrimmage to see what they did. And I was like, okay, we got something here. and we just hit the thing rolling. I mean, going through 4A opponents, getting through 4As that they haven't beat before, getting there, and then getting through the district schedule and doing the success we did, and just having that team success. And there's a team mindset here. Yes, the individual awards are nice, but everybody wants to see everybody eat over here, and that's the good thing I see about it. And just to get that along with, like you said, the fanfare. I mean, the jungle and the community, they travel. They show up, like you said, it's orange and black everywhere. There's coolers, there's tents, sandwiches for you. They take care of everybody. They visitors, hey, you need food? Hey, I got you too. So I love our fan base. They travel, they get it louder if we go, especially at home. That's a magical place. So last year was great. We had it. We lost some seniors, a lot of guys that gave input, but I think this year will be more athletic. And then especially, like you said, taking that trip last year, and you saw what it is. You get to the Final Four, you're going to see some dogs. Everybody's there for a reason. And Phoebus had athletes everywhere, and we adjusted at times, but then we lost ourselves within time. So now we got that taste in our mouth, and everybody's hungry to get that taste back. So I think this year will be same productive, if not better.
Yeah, no doubt. And I'm not gonna lie to you. Even though I'm a 757 guy, I was rooting for y'all. If anybody from the 757 knows, the Hampton Phoebus rivalry is a real one,
Absolutely.
even when you're an adult. So hopefully
Yeah.
you get your get back.
That's,
But you can't do it alone though, Coach. I mean, obviously, talk a little bit about your staff, because one thing I've learned, my son is a standout basketball player at Patriot, and Sherman Rivers and his father been on my podcast. Sherman's been on it twice, and I see he just like you, he took over a program, Patriot, in basketball that they were terrible. They weren't known. Now they're a household name throughout the state when it comes to basketball, and really in the DMV. But
yeah.
he's got a great staff, and I know you have a great staff, because people don't realize, and maybe fans do, that it's just not the head coach. The head coach is not the face of the program, but you got to have guys getting the O line, the D line right, the game planning, the scouting of the team, making sure guys are getting to class and getting taped up and treatment, and making sure parents understand what time they got to be somewhere for road games. Talk about how important and how good your staff is. You can name drop. That's all good. This is your legacy spotlight.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, staff is the most important. Like you said, it's just the face, and they see my name, and it's parents, people see me, think about do everything. No, those guys check a lot of boxes for me. I mean, just coming from that aspect. This year, it's Jesse Jackson, who's been around this area for a while, coached a lot of kids from all different places. Was there previously we were both at Patriot before I got this job, and he was one of the guys I brought over. He was DC last year. He'll be an offensive coordinator this year. He's a big hole. He has a big mindset what we do offensively. Build on what we did last year, but a lot of stuff we only got through a third of our playbook last year, and then already we're at half. So expect a lot more to be seen, especially with the dudes we got this year, and what we can do, and them being familiar with the offense. I think that side is going to carry us more. Last year was defense. I'll take over defensive coordinator this year on this side. But another one has been Matt Cornwell, who was a fellow player at Brentsville District High School. Matt's O-line guy. You see him, he looked like an O-line coach. He's the only person I see that can hold a new iPhone, look like a little baby phone in his hand. So Matt Cornwell, he does intimidation guy. So, first day you got, 8th and 9th graders looking at him like, oh, so.
I've seen him.
Yeah.
I've
Matt,
seen
Matt,
him.
Matt,
Yeah.
and then he's an enforcer, so and that's also good that he's been part of the Brentsville history. His family went there, he went there, his kids went there. He's got another kid that's still in it right now, so that's good on part. Another one is Travis Stanley, who also was there. He was a big time player in the program too. He's also a part of the community, does stuff in the community. He's our wide receiver coach. Troy Hayes went to the school also. Played quarterback there. He's there. He's also an educator in the school too. So it's another person to help me keep an eye on kids in the school, make sure we're on top of our academics, make sure we're doing too. So that weighs a big part. Darren Sheffer, who's assistant offensive line coach and also JV guy, because he knows the aspects and he wants to be a part of coaching going through that point. And that's a big for me too. As I learned from other people I was with, whether it was with Finn or Cortez or anybody else I talked to, Mickey at Stonebridge, who's been a lot of help for me too. it's that you always want to get your staff, but you always want them to grow. You don't want nobody sustained at the same spot. So if they have aspirations to grow within the coaching thing, I want them to grow. So that way, you put the work in too. So I give my coaches, more work, more tasks, more admin stuff that I'm supposed to do. Let them get a chance at it too. So if they get the chance to, be at an opportunity, something else, you want to see them grow. I don't want you to just be stagnant. It's cool. I don't want to lose any of my guys. Love my guys. I do what they do. But at the same time, they got opportunity to grow. I want them to grow. Others along that line, or other guys that have been around in the community from that point. So a lot of guys that have been in Brentsville, a lot of guys that play football have great bracket. Heike Johnson, my running back coach, used to run the ball at West Virginia, right around that time with Pat and them was
White.
all. Yeah, so Heike was there. So he's a big addition for me. He was there before, took a year off, came back. So I got a great staff, and they're all that, and they're all mentors. And then we don't just teach football; we teach life skills to our kids. We want them to grow and be great men, uncles, brothers in the community, and grow. And like I told my previous players, doors always open. Come back. They show up to practice till this day. We just had one out last week that was here, graduated the first time I was here. And right now he has his own construction business and building stuff. Gave a donation to the program, shows up every Friday night. So
That is so dope, man. That's what's up, man. Coach, you also, speaking of last season, which I did not notice, because again, it's the divisions and so many players. I try to keep up with all the guys throughout the state, especially up here in Northern Virginia, like the accolades and postseason awards. It was actually my son who told me this. You guys last year, your player of the year, not Brentsville District High School, but the player of the year was a lineman.
yeah,
It on both. He excels on offense and defense, right?
yes,
And he's back for another year, correct?
yeah. Tyler Nix, he was junior, he's a senior this year.
Crazy.
Discussion, the weirdest. You've been in those rooms with the coaches, and you see from that point. I just thank goodness I have a lot of head coaches that are O-line coaches in my thing. Because we threw names around. I was like, and another coach just said, hey, the one guy we always game for, who we game for. And it was like at the same time, all of them said Tyler Nix. And that's how it came. He was offensive player of the year for the district. And then to just go to the region, and there was no argument from anybody. They were like, well, he's the best player in the region, too. So for him to get offensive player, not only in district, but in the region, I mean, that spoke volumes. I mean, the last, like the Inside Nova said, I mean, Dante Wilkins, that was at Potomac, was the last one. And Dante got
Dante
it
Wilkins.
he got it on both sides of the ball. And, I know Dante, he was a dog. So, I mean, for Nick to get that as his recognition on what he does and see him grow, and that really helped him a lot on and off the field this year. So he came with hunger and grind, and he's up for it again this year. So it's great to have him back.
Man, congrats to him, man. That's crazy because it's not look, I'm just telling you and the people watching this right now, that is not just something to sneeze at, bro. Like,
Yeah.
because offensive line, even to some degree, defensive line gets sacks and can score touchdowns on turnovers, but to get that award says a lot about his character on and off the field, his ability and his talent. That's
Yes.
not just a token award,
Yes.
because you and I both know there's politics, but that shows a lot of respect for your program and him as a player, man. Really
Absolutely.
quickly, is he getting any interest? Any looks? I mean, I don't know. Basketball and football is so different.
Yeah.
You will
Yeah,
recruit.
for him, he does have an offer from Emory and Henry. He has several other threes, Hampton, Sydney,
Okay.
uh, Bridgewater, other stuff. He does have interest that's coming along. A lot of visits. William and Mary, Mammoth University. Uh,
Good.
um, who else was inquiring about him? A couple of schools Midwest. So it's heated up. It heated up. So I expect soon it's going to get really dicey soon for him. And I know him. He's going to take the time for him and his family make the right decision.
Excellent. Talk about speaking of the players, man. Talk about some other players this year. That not just myself. I know you can't give away schemes and plans, and I know you're not going to do that. But just some players on both sides of the ball that fans and the district, are going to definitely remember and take notice on.
Oh yeah, I mean we're loaded back, and there's been a lot of faces, familiar faces coming back. I'm gonna start with that. I mean, of course, Tyler Nix, everybody knows, Big 77's back. Another one, should have I felt personally should have got more recognition last year, but it just made him hungry this off season to see him at work and go to camps and get evaluated. Is Will Johnson? He's a safety for us too. He's a senior. He's been been so great so far. So I'm excited for the season he has. Another one is Ryan Beckman as a wide receiver
Oh,
for us outside.
man.
Yeah, Ryan has a lot. So preseason's been really great for him. He's a take off the top kind of guy. So,
Mm-hmm.
and then with us right now being in that system last year, we were run heavy a lot, and that's why I like high school football. I feel you should run the ball, but now we have the athletes and getting space and make people miss and take it to the house. So Ryan's going to definitely get a lot more exposure this year. From that point. Another one would be kind of caught on late last year. We had Bryce, who was our thumper and our everything, but we call him Lightning. Would be Nico Orlando. He's a junior. I mean, this is a big season for him.
A tough name too. I like
Yeah,
that name.
yeah, Nico. Yeah, and to see him. I mean, he's a 5'11" stocky kid. He runs to your face, so when it gets cold, that's when defenders don't want to put their chin in that way because it turns into a speed bump for him. So I'm excited to go from him. Caleb Alexander last year was all-purpose region as a playing quarterback. He's back again. Built himself up more, stronger than strengthened his arm. So I'm excited for him, especially expanding the playbook. So he's a real threat last year. Not every quarterback can have over 800 yards rushing, and we still had a back that had over 1,100 yards, another back that had 700 yards. So he's a triple threat from that point. So they get that and have the backmans and then guys out there. Uh, Another phase that's coming on the other side would be Langston White, 6'2", 205 linebacker that we have. Last year was all region linebacker. So he's familiar. He's friends with your son exactly. So he's looking excited. So junior coming back. So and new faces from that point will be Tyler Owens. Was JV kid last year, but he just hit a growth spurt, hit a, I call it a man spurt over this offseason, decided, hey, I need to eat this food, put on the weight. But his electric speed, I'm just excited for him. He's going to be wide receiver and safety for us. Really excited for him because his offseason camp has been really exciting to see. So I'm excited to see how next Friday, that goes from that. Another one is Blake Fletcher. Came into us mostly a soccer kid, always wanted football. And then now, if you go to his Twitter bio, it says football. I mean, he just switched over just to see this kid. Strong legs. He's a running back. He's going to play corner for us, too. I mean, he's just built solid the whole bottom low, and he's another. So it's another, people got tired of Bryce and Nico last year. Now it's got Nico and Blake is going to be even more horrific on that side. So we got a lot of faces, a lot of new faces. I think this year we're not as big as last year, but we're more athletic and more, knowledgeable, and we have experience. So I think that's more danger, having that experience and having that group out there and go against everybody. I think that's it. And then these kids are hungry. Like you said, everybody here knows December 15th is when football should end, and we should end it on the University of Liberty. So it's that
Love it. I
fine
love it.
attitude.
I love it. By the way, I think I coached that kid Langston. I think, yeah, him and
Yeah,
Isaiah,
yeah,
they
yeah,
both.
yeah,
I think I coached him when he was in little, like a youngin.
yeah,
So that's pretty cool, man, to see him in your program and excelling. I think I get excited. I know I got a hoodie on, but I'm getting excited just hearing you name those guys, man, because it takes me back. I was telling you, I'm being honest with you, coach. It just takes me back to my days back in the '90s, those Friday night lights, man, and just the growth and for you now, you're molding and helping you and your staff, mentoring those guys and helping them become young men that are going to eventually be successful like you and your coaches. So
yeah,
I think that's so dope. And also, too, man, it's actually, to me, I have a lot of respect for you and guys like yourself that take over programs and build it.
yeah,
I respect Daryl Overton has been on my podcast, and as I mentioned, Coach Sherman, and other guys. When you build a program, and you take a program that some coaches won't take, it's pretty remarkable. Speaking of that, because you guys just came out of nowhere, it's different when you're trying to make a statement versus everybody's trying to make a statement off you. You are now
yeah,
the hunted. You are now the
yes,
game that's being circled. You
yeah,
are now the team that people want to take down. You got player of the years and you on this podcast and you got people talking about your program on the Princeton County group chat and on Twitter with almost like the Avengers Spider-Man movie with, great responsibility comes, that whole saying, or
there
am I
you go,
messing it
yeah,
up? Yeah, but the same thing with winning, it comes a lot of attention, a lot of responsibility to take care of little things. Um, you talking about your players being hungry and wanting more. Um, how are you going to handle the success? Because as much as we're reflecting on last year and who you got coming back and also the new faces that's going to help y'all be successful, you know, adversity reveals character. and
Yeah,
people are going to be looking at y'all, and everything that happened last year may be different, meaning you still may win, but you might have to win differently. You also have to find ways to overcome things because even some of the more lesser talented teams that you guys should be are going to make this their championship game. Have you guys
absolutely.
talked about that as a program, coaches and players? Have y'all all are y'all ready for that?
Yeah, I let them know day one in camp. I mean, last year success is cool, but that don't transition. We lost 16 guys at graduation. That last year's team is gone with last year. Make something different with this team. Make new goals for yourself. But we're like you said, we're the hunted. We're striked up on people's day. People are gonna start chirping us on Twitter. Our media game was strong last year. We called out people, and that's what it is. They're gonna call us right back out. It's a game. You got to do it, but you have to respond. And we got to be humble within ourselves. And that's where practice is. It's a grind. You talk to anyone, we grind in practice. Very few laughs. It's grind and making sure, because that way I want to have fun Friday night. I want to execute. I want to be physical. I want to be dominant. So you can't have fun Friday night. That's what Monday through Thursday is for. Get that grind and execute that mental stuff. So Friday, execute. You can have fun. You can have that over somebody's head. But people are going to come for us now. We're on people want to be on our neck just like we were on people's necks last year. So it's a constant reminder, is a constant thing. The film was always rolling up last year through the whole weight room thing of the Phoebus game. I want you to see yourself. Look at what you did. Look, what did you do wrong? How did you feel that day? How did you respond? Are you going, if we play that back and go to the same situation, same time, same thing, how are you going to respond different? So it's about living those situations. How are you going to respond different in that different situation? How are you going to respond next year when this guy's gone as a captain? Now you're the leader of the team. Are you going to be the guy that's going to lead us back to that situation, or are we going to go a different situation because you don't step up? So I put all situations on our kids all the time. So it's up to them to respond. But I'll do my work to get on Monday, Thursday. But as a coach, Friday has got to be on you out the field to execute it and have that go. So I think we're there. The mindset, we'll see. When we get another opponent from us, which is coming up soon, and then we'll see from that point. But we're just taking it week by week and enjoying what we can.
I know we're recording this, but when do you guys kick off again?
We kick off this Friday, the 26th, at home against Liberty.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. So it's a game week. I got you. So I appreciate you jumping on because this is game week. So I
Yeah.
know I know how that is, man, because I was a player. I coached a little bit at Parkview High School in 2008. So I
Okay.
know game week is serious, no matter what
Yeah.
level, even youth football.
Yeah.
So that's really excited, man. Hopefully I can get out to a game. I do want to ask you this though. We only have a few
Yes.
more questions. Few more
Yeah.
questions. I know you focus on Liberty, and I know you focus on district games.
Yeah.
And I do want to ask you this, and I'm just curious, just to reflect one last time on last season, the Phoebus game.
Yeah.
From when I remember watching the live stream, and then talking to a couple of kids that were on the JV team, it was turnovers. Um, Phoebus historically, even going back to the days I played in the 90s, always ran the ball. They were always physical. Um, in the off season, because I think sometimes as people and fans and coaches, some can overreact when many times it's just about just getting back to the basics and building on what you did well and correcting the mistakes. What did you learn about that loss? Because I don't think it was so much that they were so much deeper and talented, and it was Phoebus and you guys are some team from Brentsville. So what
Yeah.
did you learn as a coach? And also, what did y'all do in the offseason? Because I asked that question because I've seen the journey to winning the state championship. I have conversations about this with Sherman Rivers. And I've seen this, I've had a conversation with Loren Johnson before he won that first one. There's a journey when you remember that tough loss, that embarrassing loss, and you say, you know what? We got better that day. Even though the fans like, what? Y'all lost. So what did you learn and what did y'all do in the offseason?
Yeah. Like you hit on the head. We got better today. I mean, it was the first game we gave up. I mean, we gave up 40 points that game. We never gave up that all series. And it was the first time we've been shut out. So it was a lot. From that day, people said, like I said, we learned a lot about ourselves that day. And the things that we learned, I mean, is we came in, with a plan, but we went out there thinking too much of the hype and not executing. It was penalties that got us, which is just mental stuff. It was trying to do somebody else's job and not doing your job at the time that got to us. It was trying to do too much, trying to make a play longer when it's there right there, like it's been all season, it's planned out. So we learned a lot about ourselves to not to get big, not to get too big for the moment, and also just do your job, and it will play out. Because once it started clicking, we drove the ball. That's what thing we drove the
Yeah,
ball.
you did. You did.
Yeah, we moved the ball. We got them stops. It's just when you get penalties and give somebody another opportunity, they're going to spark on it. And that's the game. And then there's turnovers. You give them it's the number one full rule in football. Rarely does it happen. You can give more turnovers to the other team, they are going to win the game. It's a statistical fact. You can go through everything. There's one or two games in history of life that you can say, okay, we didn't win a turnover battle, but we won that game. And that's what. So we can't give the other team opportunity, especially a talented team like them and well coached by Coach Blunt and them. You can't do that. So we learned a lot of ourselves. Through the offseason, we worked on it. We worked on, hey, doing our job. We worked on execution. We worked on, hey, we did constant conditioning, sprint, boom, get right back, do a play on the thing. So that when you're tired, you got to lock in more on your mental. And we went through that and we executed that. We worked on, it was cold during the winter. We worked on that. Hey, it doesn't matter the conditions. That should have been an element. You played in the week before. It changed a little bit to 757. It wasn't. It was pretty much. It was better than Meridian. Meridian was negative 35. I felt like. So I was like, y'all shouldn't complain about no weather. So it was fine down there. So it's just little things but we took work on it. Our mental game is stronger, being experienced and having that situation. I think at the end of the day, it makes us better. I think that's going to take us into this year, thinking of that, having at the back of our head and that little chip on our shoulder will bring us to that situation. So if something does come up like that and revisit it, we'll know how to handle it better.
Love it, man. I read some of your quotes and I watched how your team handled it. And I don't know. I know you don't believe in moral victories, but there's a life lesson in all of that on and off the field. And I said they're gonna be better from that. Because you didn't talk about having to travel, you didn't make excuses about home field advantage. You talked
Mm-hmm.
about what you're going to do moving forward, which I was like, okay, that's what's up. That's the kind of mindset it's going to take. And it's funny too because around that same time, Battlefield was right there, step for step with Oscar Smith, and all of a sudden turnovers, a call here, then they get you the big game. Next thing you
Yeah.
in the hole. So, here's to a great upcoming season this week, man. Starting Friday, man. I can't wait, man. It's gonna be a lot of fun, man. I'm gonna be watching your program closely.
Appreciate it.
I just want to ask you this, man. Just one question about your family. You have a family, right? I always
Yes.
want to hear about your family when I have a guest on my legacy spotlight because again, I'm a family man. I got a wife and 3 kids, so I tell people real quick I'm able to do a lot of stuff I can do because my wife and my kids support me and we love and support each other, even though sometimes, I feel like the year goes so fast, I don't know what day it is. How
Yeah.
about yourself, man? In your personal life, what you got going on?
Yeah, I got a wife, Julia, and then I have my two boys, Langston, and I have Landon. So it's Langston 16 now, and Landon is 4, the biggest 4-year-old in the world. Uh, so, um, so it's a mostly boy dominated house, but wife gets everybody straight. She was an athlete too. She actually went to Gar-Field too and played softball. So we're all
Oh,
sports
really?
junkies in the house. Yeah,
Okay, I didn't know
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Shout
So
out to
we're
your
all
wife, man.
yeah. So we're all sports junkies, but she holds it down. She knows the grind of a sports coach. So that's the good. I love that part because it's like where you been at? Well, where I've been at. It's game week. I've been at the film, but I got my stuff done. Laundry done. I do my part. I take the boys with me. On the weekend, she knows Saturday is lockdown family day. I always give that. I tell my staff, it was like, you can't just do your stuff and expect the kids, your family come out Friday night. You don't come to their stuff on Saturday because you got other
Mm,
kids in your family too. So I make that rule.
mhm,
We never do anything on Saturday. Sundays we'll have a meeting. And I think the COVID season helped out a lot for a lot of people because now you can do stuff like this. We can meet on the Zoom and talk and
mhm.
everything. You don't have to everybody come to the school or come to a business office and sit there. I do like those coaches meeting and we always get together and have the coaches' families and get together, get another because the family is my big, concept that I have. It's the culture around here. But at the same time, if you got something family wise, even at practice, hey, coach, my daughter got to play, or I got a coach that has a daughter at softball. I mean, in volleyball this year. She's like, hey, I'm like, dude, go. We practice. She got a game. get practice done, do your part, and you can go. And if you got she travel, go. And you don't get those times back, especially you doing this all the time, and your family knows the grind as a coach, and you're in here in the office and preparing and get stuff while you're done, and coaching other people and spending time working on other somebody else's kids. You got to take care of yours at the same time. So she understands that. She's a big community person too. She's all here with the other moms, and you know, these people like to cook out here. So this barbecue grills. So you come out here, make sure you get some food. I'm gonna say, Vic, get some food. They're gonna take care of you. So they cook out here all the time. But that at the same time, my youngest is getting into sports now too. So I'm excited. So I take time out, he's trying everything, baseball, football, and everything. And then my oldest. So yeah, family's a key point. I mean, the same thing. My mom's in Atlanta, but she makes time to come out here and see her grandson play. So that's a big thing. That's the one thing I always put to the side, regardless of, football, sports are great, but families, that's what you can depend on the time. And that's who's got me to this point and molded me to get to this point. So you always got to appreciate that.
No doubt, man. Shout out to your wife, man. Julie, right?
Julia,
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you, Julie. Appreciate you because I know coaches, it's a never ending job and you're successful because you have her beside you, man. So, God
Absolutely.
bless your wife and your kids because I respect high school and college coaches more and more and more. Goodness, you guys do so much. And people don't realize, I can say, I know you're not going to say it, but that Virginia
Yeah.
stipend, y'all need to increase it. Yeah, come on, bro. Come on now. Hey, let's stop it because it ain't
Yeah.
just a seasonal job. It's ongoing.
Oh, it's
One
all
day
year.
one day you're a therapist, next you're a life coach, next thing you know, you're a pastor, you're a
Yeah.
mentor, you're a tutor, a
Yeah.
disciplinarian, but you've been called to do it and you've been doing a great job. I've heard great things about you and Brentsville District High School appreciates you. Your players, I've ran into a few of them, as I told you before. They talk so glowingly about you, and I'm honored to have you on. So, one last question, Coach, and we're
Yes, sir.
done. Actually, it's more so a statement from you. We
Okay.
wrap the show up. I let my guests give their final thoughts about the life lessons their experiences have taught them and what feedback they have for the viewers watching. You have been blessed to overcome adversity. You're successful, but you're not complacent. You're appreciative for the opportunities God has given you through coaching and education. With that being said, there's young men that's going to see this. You're going to have players that's going to watch this. Future Brentsville District football players are going to watch this. What feedback do you want to tell them as far as in order to achieve their goals of being successful? Because you've experienced success at a very high level, but at the same time, it's not by accident. So, what words do you want to give them, men and women watching this, in order to get to their success and their dream?
Yeah, that's a big thing. And then you hit on that point too. Also, men and women. I do have two girls in our football program too, so it's no
Wow.
discrimination there. And
Hold on. What's their name? Shout them out.
shout out Estella and uh gosh, put me on the run, Karina.
Sorry. Sorry.
So but the same thing. The biggest thing I can tell just anybody youth wise, believe in yourself, go enter it, and be yourself. Be you. It's not too many people in this trying to be somebody else, but be you. Be something. If you, the biggest thing I took from my grandfather, who I looked up to a lot before he passed, and my grandmother was always, you want to be somebody you can look up to, or somebody you will not disappoint. The biggest thing is you have an action. There's a lot of kids getting out here and doing stuff, and they're being associated with other kids that don't act right. Take a second in that moment. Everybody wants to be cool, too much cool. Take that second in that moment. If it's something about to be done and you can't be proud of that moment, or even something you can tell, like my grandma said, if you can't tell me about it, then it's something you shouldn't do. If you can't be honorable to that act you want to do or something that you're doing, and to see that person as a vision, like, hey, that person I respect enough, then don't do that. There's too many people trying to ride each other's wave out here, and just to be yourself. And that's what a lot of people that around you already are vibing off of you because of who you are, your natural stuff, your natural talents, your natural being, your natural awareness towards people, your natural ways. It's the way you move can just inspire. And that's being an educator too, especially a Black educator. I see it so much, and I just tell kids to be them, and then that way they get in their comfort zone. It can be themselves, and that way that kid is very disgruntled all the time, and he just he's trying to be like somebody else too much instead of just being himself. And then that way, once you see that, then you come, I check back on a couple of days. and I see the reports. His attitude has changed. He's been more, community active. It's because they're fighting too much to fit in too much, and not everybody's going to be a square trying to fit in the circle. Be you. Then that way you gel right in, be yourself, and that way you can be the new vibe, as you say, with yourself to go forward. So be something that you can be like, and something that you approve of, and be, well associated with. That's all I can say for everybody.
Love it. I love it. I love it. And you're doing a great job of being yourself, coach. And I appreciate you.
Exactly.
This has been a lot of fun and very insightful. And I learned a lot more about you. Some of it I knew, but a lot of it I didn't. But all together, it's been phenomenal information and great to hear from you. And you've been a great guest on the Victory Life Legacy Spotlight, man. So I just want to thank everybody for jumping on, man. If I haven't told you before, those watching, make sure you subscribe to the Victory Life Legacy Spotlight YouTube channel to see great features like Coach Loren White here, and also to the Brentsville District High School football program and family and the school. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe. And Coach, on behalf of Victory Life, we thank you for jumping on. And again, shout out to you and your family and your players. I
Hey,
appreciate
appreciate it, Mr. Vic. Keep doing what you're doing. Love what you got on. Everybody click, subscribe, get this.
it. I appreciate it, man. And again, check them out this season. I'm wishing and praying for a healthy and successful season for all your players, from your training staff to the assistant coaches and to everybody, because I know what goes into a season.
Yes,
It's a
sir.
family and it's a collective village. So I appreciate you and good luck and God bless to all y'all. And like I say every episode, no matter where you go, no matter what you do, make sure you have a positive impact and you leave a great legacy. That's Victory Life, man. Thank you guys for jumping on. I appreciate you.